Unlock your purpose, grow stronger every day. You're watching Personal Development TV, your one-stop place where change begins with you.
If you've ever wondered, will I ever feel like myself again? I know that feeling. For months, my grief was like a thick fog I couldn't see through. I'd wake up with a weight on my chest, go through the motions, smile when people were watching, but inside, I felt like a ghost walking through my own life. In today's video, I want to give you the roadmap I wish someone had handed me back then. Not to erase your grief, that's not how this works, but to help you move forward with it and discover a version of yourself that's softer and stronger than you ever imagined. If that's something you need right now, stay with me. This might be your turning point too. Hello everyone, I'm Anthony Binns, and welcome back to Personal Development TV, your place for real stories, practical tools, and step-by-step strategies to help you grow through what you're going through. Today, I'm sharing something deeply personal, how I used my grief to grow, the 3 practical steps that helped me move from being completely stuck to genuinely at peace, and the unexpected transformation that followed. This isn't theory. These are the exact tools and tiny actions I used when I honestly thought I would never feel okay again. The fog of grief. For a long time, my life felt like it had divided into 2 parts, before the loss and after the loss. After felt like a bad dream I couldn't wake up from. I remember waking up some mornings and for a split second, everything felt normal. And then the memory of what I'd lost rushed back in, and it was like someone dropped a stone straight into my chest. I tried to function. I tried to be strong. I smiled for people. I said, "I'm fine," when they asked. But inside, I was replaying every moment, every conversation, every what if on a loop. And the scariest part was this thought. What if this is just who I am now? What if this hollow, broken version of me is permanent? Maybe you've had a similar thought. If you have, I want you to hear this. Grief is a chapter of your story. It is not the entire book. My turning point didn't come in some dramatic movie-style breakdown. It started quietly, with a single sentence. The shifting thought. One day I came across a writer named Nora McInerney who said, "We don't move on from grief, we move forward with it." Those words landed in me like a doorway opening. Up until then, I was trying to defeat my grief. I kept thinking, when will I finally get over this? But what if that wasn't the goal? What if I didn't have to move on? What if I could learn to move forward with it? That single idea shifted everything. It didn't erase the pain. It didn't magically fix my heart. But it did something important. It replaced a hopeless story with a possible story. I stopped asking, when will this be gone? And I started asking, how can I live a meaningful life alongside this grief? That's where my roadmap began. And I want to walk you through the same 3 steps that helped me. Challenge the story in your mind. Grief is painful by itself. But what makes it unbearable is often the story our mind tells about it. Thoughts like, my life is over. I will never be happy again. This is all my fault. This is where cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, comes in. CBT teaches us that our thoughts don't just describe reality, they shape it. So I created something I called my grief story journal. Here's exactly how it worked. Every day I wrote down the raw, unfiltered thoughts that looped in my head. I'll never feel normal again. Everyone else is moving on except me. If I had done X differently, maybe this wouldn't have happened. I didn't judge those thoughts. I didn't try to be positive. I just got them out of my head and onto paper. Then I started a gentle process called cognitive reframing, questioning the story instead of accepting it as fact. For example, if I wrote, I will never be happy again, I'd ask, is this 100% true? Can I predict the future with absolute certainty? Of course, the honest answer was no, so I'd soften the thought into something more compassionate and realistic. Right now it feels impossible to be happy. But other people have carried grief and still found joy again. Maybe it's possible for me too, even if it looks different. Notice, I wasn't lying to myself. I wasn't saying, everything is great. I was simply shifting from, this is hopeless, to, this is painful. and there is still a possibility I can grow. That tiny upgrade in your story doesn't erase the pain, but it cracks the door open just enough to let a little light in. That mental space becomes the foundation for the next step. Create a space to actually feel. Grief isn't just an idea in your head. You feel it in your body. The tight throat, the heavy chest, the exhaustion that no nap can fix. Challenging your thoughts is powerful. But if you never give your emotions a place to land, they stay trapped. So I started creating simple rituals and creative practices to give my grief somewhere to go. Here are a few you can try. Ritual 1. The release letter. Some evenings I'd sit down with a blank sheet of paper and write out all the things I didn't know how to say out loud. The anger, the guilt, the it's not fair, the why did this happen? When I was done, I'd fold the paper, step outside with a small fire-safe bowl, and safely burn it, watching the smoke rise into the air. I wasn't burning the memory. I was burning the belief that I had to carry all that charge alone. It became a symbol. These emotions are allowed to move. Ritual 2. Painting the feelings. I'm not an artist at all, but I bought a cheap set of watercolors and a sketch pad. On really heavy days, instead of trying to find the right words, I'd just paint colors that matched my mood. Deep blues for numbness, stormy grays for confusion, hot reds for anger. The goal wasn't to create something pretty. The goal was to let my inner world show up somewhere. You could do the same with music, dance, collage, photography. Anything that lets your emotions come out of hiding is a win. These creative acts bypass the overthinking part of your brain and speak directly to your heart. Ritual 3. The safe cry space. I noticed that I often tried to hold it together all day, and then grief ambushed me when I least expected it. So I started scheduling what I call a safe cry space. Once or twice a week, I'd sit somewhere private, put on a song that connected to my feelings, give myself permission to cry, breathe, pray, or just sit there with my hand on my chest. No fixing, no rushing. Just this message to myself: you are allowed to feel this. These rituals didn't remove the grief, but they released pressure, like opening a valve on a boiling pot. And in that space, I had just enough energy to take the third step. Reconnect with a new reality. This is where things slowly started to change. I learned about a therapy model called Acceptance and Commitment Therapy, ACT. The core idea is powerful. You can accept your painful emotions and still commit to actions that align with your deepest values. It also mirrors something called the dual process model of grief, which says, healthy grieving involves moving back and forth between loss-oriented activities, feeling the pain, remembering, crying, restoration-oriented activities, rebuilding your life, doing new things, reconnecting with people and purpose. I realized I had been living almost entirely on the loss side. I wasn't giving myself permission to build anything new. So I did a simple exercise that changed everything. The values list. I sat down and asked, what still matters to me in this new reality? I wrote down values like connection, creativity, faith, nature, learning, service. Then I made myself a promise. Each day, I will take one tiny action that honors at least one of these values, even if I still feel sad. And I mean tiny. Not change your whole life steps. 60-second steps. Examples. If the value was connection, the action was send one text to a friend. Not pour my heart out, just a simple, thinking of you. If the value was nature, the action was, step outside for 1 minute, feel the sun or the wind, and take 3 deep breaths. If the value was creativity, the action was, doodle for 5 minutes. Write 4 lines in my journal. Individually, these actions looked almost laughably small. But grief had drained my energy. Tiny steps were all I could manage consistently, and consistency is where the magic happens. Over time, here's what started to happen. 1 text message became a short phone call. 5 minutes of sketching became an hour of creative flow. 1 minute outside became a quiet walk around the block. I was still grieving, but I was also rebuilding. Grief was no longer the only thing happening in my life. Every small, value-based action was like casting a vote for the kind of person I wanted to become in this new chapter. The transformation, the after. Now I want to be very honest with you. There was no magical morning where I woke up and thought, great, grief is over. I'm cured. That moment never came. The transformation looked more like this. The intense, suffocating pain slowly shifted into a quieter sadness. The fog that once felt endless began to thin out in patches, letting in small beams of light. I noticed I could laugh at a good memory without being pulled completely under. My grief didn't disappear. It moved seats. Instead of sitting in the driver's seat of my life, controlling everything, it now sits beside me, like a permanent passenger that I've learned to live with. And here's the surprising part. My grief didn't just break me, it revealed me. It showed me how deeply I am capable of loving, how resilient I can be, how much compassion I can have for others who are hurting. It rearranged me, softer, yet stronger, more open, yet more grounded. I realized something powerful. Our capacity for grief is directly tied to our capacity for love. Grief is the shadow of love. We grieve deeply because we have loved deeply. When I let that truth sink in, my grief became not just a wound, but also a testament to the love that had shaped my life. What this means for you. So what does all of this mean for you? If you're in the fog right now, here's what I want you to know. You don't have to move on. You're allowed to move forward with your grief at your own pace. Your pain is real, valid, and deserves to be honored. You don't have to minimize it or compare it to anyone else's. You are not broken beyond repair. You are in a process of being reshaped. And your roadmap can start very simply. Step 1. Challenge the painful story your mind keeps telling. Step 2. Create safe spaces and rituals to feel your emotions. Step 3. Take tiny, value-driven actions to reconnect with life. Not big leaps. Small, doable steps. One breath. One moment. One day at a time. CTA. Engagement plus community. Now I want to invite you into something powerful. In the comments, tell me one small act of self-care you're willing to take this week. Just one tiny step that honors your heart while you grieve. It might be, I'm going to write one page in my journal. I'm going to take a 5-minute walk outside. I'm going to let myself cry without apologizing for it. Your comment might be the exact thing someone else needs to see today. Your story matters more than you know. If this video spoke to you, I'd love for you to subscribe to Personal Development TV for more content on emotional healing, growth, and resilience. Share this video with someone who might be grieving in silence. Check the description for tools and resources to support you on your journey. Please, be gentle with yourself. You don't have to do this perfectly. You just have to keep taking the next small, honest step. I'm Anthony Binns. Thank you for spending this time with me. And remember, we don't move on from grief. We move forward, together.
Unlock your purpose, grow stronger every day. You're watching Personal Development TV. Your one-stop place where change begins with you.